Hello and welcome to this episode of ET Career Talks. A very important topic, MBA, myth versus reality. That's what we're going to be talking about. And I have two wonderful guests with me. First, I have Dr Somdutta Singh. She is a director, founder, Assiduus. And we also have with us Dr Kunal Saxena, Director, Marketing, Sattagiri NPS University. Welcome to the show. Before we actually start and get into the crux of the questions, Shom, since we are to call you that,
Yes.
What do you do in your daily life? Probably that will also help students understand our perspectives better.
Firstly, Vasanthi, thank you so much for having us here today and discussing such an important and burning topic, because in today's day and time, what becomes very, very essential is for people to have perspectives. Now, what I do in my daily life, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have built 2 businesses before founding Assiduus, which is now the 3rd largest e-commerce distribution supply chain company.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. And as the founder CEO, one of my biggest responsibilities is to manage resources, strategy, and ensure that both are enabled to succeed together. So therefore, this topic today has an impairment, focus on what we actually do and how we scout for talent. So looking forward to having a discussion with you.
Absolutely. Kunal, what's your daily life like? What's a day in your life like?
Okay, so I'll give the perspective of 2 phases of my life, of a day in my life like. I was working with Google earlier. So that was my first job in life after graduating from
That's
Calcutta.
not bad at all.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. So my first job was in Google, and the assignment given to me was to develop Google Maps. So I brought Google Maps to Asia, especially India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. That was my first assignment, and my day in life used to be go and measure the roads. And that was a fantastic job when you go and get to see a lot of things and you're getting paid to travel. Then I did the same activity for about 15 years of my life, and I said, now enough is enough. Now let's go back to the society and give it back in terms of to learn something and give it back to them in terms of making sure that they learn out of my own experiences.
Sure.
So then I moved to the education fraternity. I was actually pulled into this, and now I am promoting a university called Sattagiri NPS University as Director Marketing, and trying to lend a little bit of my brain to them in terms of how management functions.
So the education was like in which part of India? What was that like? Your education?
My education, ma'am, my parents are in army, both of them. My father is a major general now and mother is a brigadier. So we spent our life all across India. And I was born in Pune but brought up in India. So my schooling happened in various cities, certain villages, townships, and certain places where schools were also not there.
Right.
Because parents were posted in a remote area. But then when I came for graduation, I did it from IIT Delhi. Then my first master's from IIM Calcutta, second master's from Australia. Then I did my SAP from Western Georgia University, America. And I recently finished my 9th degree, that is in AI, which is called an MS. So,
Is it really a place for overqualified people on the show?
thank you very much.
You see, I was just thinking, Kunal, that when we're speaking about, and it's great to have a forces kid, and salute to all those, who are in the Army, Navy, and the Defense Forces. I was also thinking that you are the right guy to show a road map, because you measure roads, you actually are working with maps. What better thing for students? Coming to the topic itself, you see, NBA, according to the economic survey, I was just taking a look at the 23-24 ones, and we're really talking about the employability. If you really needed any proof at all, then among graduates across India, 2023 and 24 by degree, then the MBA, the Master of Business Administration, is at 71.16%. This is how the color looks, and this are the rest of the degrees.
Yep.
And here is MBA right at the top.
Yep.
You see, before we delve into the value of an MBA, I want to ask you, Shom, is an MBA really for everybody?
That's a fantastic question you ask. And, when Kunal was talking about overqualification, I've not done the 9th degree, but I've gone to MIT, I've studied went to Columbia, then Harvard recently. I think learning has no end. But the question that you ask is the title of the learning important? If you ask me in 1908, when MBA was actually constituted by the Harvard Business School, the perspective was that can we enable resources to learn the skills to manage people better so that it could bring more profitability to an organization. And this I'm talking about the pre-industrial revolution. That MBA over time has evolved in various levels, right? You also heard from Kunal, he said he went to IIT Delhi and IIM. That's a very, very common marriage, by the way. It's a marriage that's made in whichever heaven. But most IITians, despite being fantastic engineers, end up going to earn an MBA because they feel that helps them get the management positions a lot better, right? That helps them manage resources a lot better. Now, to me, the question comes in today's world. You don't learn everything that is required to run a company. You have to be in the company to pick up the skills because every organization functions differently. What you learn in one organization is actually taking those skills and adding value to another organization. So you cannot replace experience. The title of an MBA, I'll use the word title because it's now more than just a degree. The title of an MBA is just about how quickly can I land that job at a better pay.
Yeah.
If you ask me, today's parents or just the ecosystem at large looks at a degree more as a reason for me to hire to get better pay than whether I have the skills to add value to the job. I run an e-commerce company. I do not hire people because they have an MBA, because MBA do not teach you how to run e-commerce businesses.
There is something called the real life MBA.
Yeah, exactly. So the masters in business versus masters in experience and administration is what actually the MEA is what actually kind of takes you further in life. So is it important for students? Depends on where you want to be. What is that you're looking in terms of that value add that it will bring to your life? If it is just because you want to run the rat race, because you're competing against those thousands and millions of people to land that one job, if you're smart, you'll get it, not because you have the degree. So yesteryear's MBA, today's MBA is very different, right? Today, I think Kunal, if he just had an engineering, if he just did his IIT Delhi and he's a fantastic engineer, fantastic at what he does, I think he will earn way more than an MBA does. But if some people are learning,
Which really brings me to a very crucial question, which is that universities across India, because we are talking about this context. So globally also, many countries have the same challenge. But then degree is one thing and employability is one thing.
True. Skill.
Which Dr. Shom is speaking about now. Kunal, how do you prepare the students who are within your universities with the skill sets? Because ultimately that's what's really going to take them ahead. Like I always say, as somebody who runs a media enterprise, we have many, many students, young people who come to us and say, okay, we want to be part of your podcast. And I say that, attitude more than aptitude in many cases. So you have to, how do you make sure that they are just going beyond their classroom degrees and acquiring this?
Okay, I'll take a bite from what she said. Very beautiful explanation about MBA. Now, MBA is like a Chinese whisper. And over the ages, it has become like that because the way it was formulated and the way it has been treated today, there's lots and lots and lots of difference. Today, an MBA degree is not taken for the sake of studying. It is taken for the sake of getting employed.
Yeah.
True.
So it is just like a tag on your, on your portfolio that I am a MBA. Are you qualified or not? That your skill sets would decide what she was talking about. But what has happened over a period of time, students are becoming much sharper and broader, but not in the right sense. They will get information from Google, from YouTube, from Instagram, Facebook, or even ChatGPT in that case. But how are you going to employ it? See, ChatGPT came to simplify lives, not to cut, copy, paste life.
Yeah.
Today, even a resignation to applying for a job has been taken the content from the same ChatGPT portfolio, and you can find it out when you say, I hope you're doing well, and this message is, so you can understand it is not his mind because you know it very well. This person never said your hope you're doing well, but the ChatGPT talk says that hope you're doing well. So, today's MBAs have to be much more sharper. stronger with their mindset, and ready to learn and ready to listen. They're not ready to listen. They're not ready to learn. They come with a foresight mindset and say, no, I will do this because I know I'm going to get there.
Yes.
So they have predefined their future on their own. MBA degree is just the bridge to cross, the kind of an ocean or a sea or whatever you call it for them, and just jump into the corporate world. So this lingo, which you call it as the corporate world, is kind of deceiving them. How the corporate world actually works, you can see a serial entrepreneur sitting here. It's very different. But the way they perceive, I'll just give you a live example. When we ask our students, there are two companies which are coming in, Company A and Company B. Company B is going to pay you 6 lakhs per annum, and Company A is going to pay you 9 lakhs per annum.
Right.
Company B says it's work from home, Saturday, Sunday off. You will get all your HR perks and privileges. In fact, they're ready to pay your internet bill also, and so forth, because there's a company offering to its employee. Company A says you have to come to office every day. Saturdays you might have to work, or there's no such perk. But yeah, that's a better company. This is a bigger company. So there's a difference between better and bigger. Students are opting for bigger company rather than a better company because they are having a mindset: Saturday off.
Yes.
Work from home. I don't have to stand in a Bangalore traffic. I don't have to get drenched in the rain. Believe you me, if I get a chance, I'm still ready to work for a company A rather than B because it gives you a lot of exposure.
Sure.
At home, when you work, you are limited within your own boundaries. I think you'll agree, ma'am.
100%.
So you are within your own boundaries. What your boss says, you work like a robot. But when you come out, you see life experiences. Then when I used to go for doing this road mapping, believe you me, I have worked with the military, para forces, police, and other places. I mean, all the forms of police forms in other countries who used to help me to do this work, because there are certain places where civilians are not allowed. So that was an exposure I got. And if I was doing work from home in Google Map, you would have ended up in, St. Cleopatra Hospital, would have taken you to St. Cleopatra Crematory. So this is how you have to learn. And you should be ready to come out.
Somewhere, this sort of sense of entitlement or probably a thing that generationally people are handed over things on a platter than having had to struggle for it. I think we are seeing that reflected in the attitude of the students and people who are listening in, who are posting their questions, are probably going to take a cue from this. But I'm going to flip this and once again come back to you before we move to show, which is that what about educational institutions? They are always trying to cash in on this demand. So look at the cost of an MBA. I was generally having a survey shown last evening before heading here. I asked my friends on a worldwide community that I curate. I said, guys, whoever is an MBA here, how much did you spend on your MBA back in the day? Because there are people from the IIMs, there are from the Ivy Leagues across the world. And so what is the cost as of today? So let's say somebody did their IIM Bangalore Finance MBA, said that they had spent something between 16,000 rupees per year to get this. Versus now, when premier institutions are charging as much as 40 lakhs for a course.
More, not less,
And how is this going to be the ROI? The parent who's probably going to be struggling to make that happen for his, her child, son, daughter, going to see a return of investment from this. Why do institutions charge so much?
Okay, so institutions are forced to charge so much. It is not institutions' choice. See, what happens over here is, running an institute, you need to have resources. You need to have good faculties, good infrastructure, something attractive which catches the eyes of the people and they take a step forward to you. But that doesn't mean that the degree will be directly impacted with the price. What happens over here is, say, if you say about my own MBA, I'll talk about when I did from PGDM from IIM, it costed me 8,000 rupees per year. And that was under scholarship quota. My AIR was 2, All India Rank 2 in CAT. Then I entered in Calcutta.
I told you something about overachievement.
No, it's not about overachievement. But, from that day till today, if you see, it's all about the demand and the companies take over for the students for their experience. And I'll explain this. Even I went to Harvard to give a lecture, ma'am. I didn't study. I was not lucky as Harvard. I could study in Harvard.
You went already to IIM. You didn't need an hour.
I just went to give a lecture. And in my class, there were about, say, 128 kids from all nationalities of the world. When I asked them a question, why are you here? Some of them said, we want to go back and do something for our country. That was 1% of the population. Some of them said, we want to study here, work here, and send money back to our country. That was a reasonable answer, fair enough. But when they come to that particular phase of life where they're investing so much, I just said the ROI, They want to dip it within the first 5 years, which is a very wrong notion. See, certain people might get a very flaring job, but flaring job means flaring responsibilities, flaring pains, and flaring out of the way going for taking decisions. But certain people looking at them start, okay, my life will also become like this. They are daydreamers, night dreamers, all-time dreamers, and these are the people which actually make the cost of the degree go up. They don't understand the value of degree. They don't understand the value of that particular specialization they're taking. It's just a herd walk. Today, AI/ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, it's also imbibed with management education. See, a manager can work over a technician or a technical person in order to run the show, but he cannot run the software. So there's a difference between a technical manager and a manager.
Right.
So the cost of the degrees are getting impacted by these processes only. As you said, 16,000 rupees, I am Bangalore. Whole year course. Today, it is 16,000 per day. If you take it as 40 lakh rupees for the whole course. So, the kind of resources you get, again, the faculties who come from abroad or they are having industry experience, these people also share their brain. And what has happened is over a period of time, the jazzy designations you have in the corporate world, vice president, CEO, chief exciting officer. I went through one more profile. I'll not discuss, but
Chief
that was
happiness officer.
Yeah, I wanted to say this.
Chief
Chief happiness officer.
Whose happiness?
Yes, yes.
No, I feel it's his own happiness. So, in that case, all these jazzy designations are actually, mapping the minds of the people in a very wrong sense. See, institutions have their own accreditations and candidature to prove themselves to be the best in the country. But there is also a rat race. Why should somebody enter an IIM or not an MIT, or an MIT or not a Jamnalal Bajaj, or not Jamnalal Bajaj or not a SP Jain? There is a rat race there also. Today, can you imagine a graduation degree is worth 80 lakh rupees in this country? BBA, 80 lakh rupees. So forget about MBA in that case. Today, people are having that spending capacity. So what happened over the last 5 years? Student, instead of going abroad universities are entering our country. And they're coming with a tie-up.
I'm in fact going to be asking you about that. This is sort of a combination degrees.
Yep.
But to you, Shom, are we really as a society suffering from the survivorship bias when it comes to an MBA degree in particular, that we see newspaper headlines and, back in the day when I used to work for a television channel, always headline these things, right? That the person who's graduating got this much salary package.
Yeah.
And but you don't look at the rest of those people. What is the real scenario in the world like, whether in Harvard or in this thing? I think we're going to look to you to give the reality check to students.
Absolutely.
Who probably see the lure of the MBA, but apart from the heavy, hitters at the beginning, what's happening with the rest?
I'm going to break it up into three parts because, on one hand, there is Kunal, who's already seen that side. He was a scholarship student. He knew the purpose of his MBA then. But of course, if you see, he went to Google. Now, Google hires from Premier Leagues. Google doesn't hire from tier 2, tier 3 colleges. As you're growing up, the society of aspiration, you talked about the bias, it's a validation bias. The aspirations of individuals, which are today dictated by social media, is by where I feel the most amount of respect by attaching myself to that tag. If you go to a Google, you go to a Microsoft, you go to an Amazon, you go to a Goldman, like Goldman, Bain, BCG only hire from Harvard and MIT and the Ivy Leagues. The first category of selection is just that. Now, as you're growing up with that mindset that I want to be a part of that league, now, you're not thinking of that league just because it's a job. It's a community. It's a network. You want to be a part of that community and network. It's like your network is your net worth. So your net worth is defined by the kind of people
and the community is your currency.
Your community is your currency. If today you join a Bain or you join a Goldman or you join a Morgan Stanley, everybody knows they belong to the same kind of alma mater or come with the same kind of pedigree. They want to help elevate each other. So once you get into that community, they're all picking you up and taking you everywhere. In an organization, there's also a saying, right? You work with your manager and you leave your manager. If you work with your manager, if the manager leaves, he also takes you along with him. And they typically do that when you're a part of that alumni, part of the alma mater. And he's from IIM Calcutta. Like some of the most erudite people are from the IIM community. So they all help each other. They have a very strong community network. Plus, if they have their startups, they also invest in startups of IIM, alumni. So you see the value that you get out of it. Now you grow up with this mindset. Then comes social media that takes you to another level of acknowledgement need. The innate need to feel acknowledged that, oh, I am a part of this. I can now share it online to get respect, to get validation. That innate need to seek validated constantly takes you to a stage when you ultimately burn out, deal with mental health issues. And not everybody is fortunate enough, like Kunal, who realized, you know what, I want to give back to the community. I'm going to detach myself from this league of rat race and figure out where my purpose lies.
I think that is really of consequence,
You know-
especially to people who are just about beginning their career. How do they? Can both of you give some sort of guidelines
Yeah.
of how can a student vet that
Yeah.
path, saying that okay, this is probably where I try for a degree, but let
Yeah.
me be realistic. Some people can make it to the IIM or the other premier
Yeah.
leagues. Some of them can't. So there are two questions. Therefore, I'm asking both of you.
Yeah.
One, probably let's start with how do you vet a good B school for yourself? If you have decided that this I am going to do an MBA, I'm going ahead with this plan. How do you make sure that you don't land up in an institution that's just trying to milk you, but not giving you the value or the learning that an MBA actually needs, Kunal?
Okay, so institutions these days are quite smarter, and how they milk you, you won't even come to know. But what happens over a period of time is how you have to decide to choose the best institute for you is don't look at the infrastructure, look at the faculty structure. Don't look at the placement figures, look at the internship numbers. Don't look at
And
what.
these are invariably displayed.
Yes, these are invariably displayed, and you should understand what you are actually paying for. You're paying for the knowledge, you're paying for the class, what you're going to attend, and the kind of knowledge you're going to gain from the faculty. So the experience of the faculty with his background matters a lot rather than the background of the institute. Of course, every institute will have a massive background, positive background, A star rankings and all. But see, certain aspect of them institutes have to do it in order to retain their name in the market as well. Over a period of time, institutes are trying to have foreign collaborations. Like I'll take an example in my institute in Saptagiri NPS University. How we are giving it back to the society is we are making sure that for a MBA program or for an engineer program, say taking MBA first year you do it in India. Second year, we have got tie-ups with about 50 international universities. You go there and study at no cost. Only thing is you have to pay for your travel, but your stay, your tuition, your accommodation, your food, everything is taken care of by the other university who's sitting abroad. So, in that case, what happens is even a middle class student, a middle class candidate gets an opportunity to explore the world where your massive expense has been taken care of and minimalistically you are going. And the kind of tickets, what happens today is even, going to Dubai is cheaper than going to Delhi in certain cases.
Yep.
So we are trying to map up that kind of education where you get a global exposure, and we're not sending you for a tour abroad. We're sending you for education abroad where you spend a complete semester or a year and then come back with a degree of that institution as well in hand.
So you're basically saying that a student, when they are looking for options
Yes.
and what probably their scores are matching up with, are going to look at these finer details.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than be taken in probably by the gloss
Yeah.
of that. I'm going to come to you, Shom. When you, as a daughter
Yeah.
of two surgeon parents,
Yes.
decided to really, go out of that
Yeah.
family tradition, so to speak,
Right.
And you made your educational choices.
Yep.
You also mentioned just when we were catching up for a chat that you were kind of a rebel in the family because
course.
people expected you to be in medicine. But then, what were the criteria that you had as a young person, and what choice? What actually clinched the choice for you?
That's a beautiful question you ask. There's something I'm going to tell to all the students who are listening today. What you want at 14 is not the same what you want at 19. And what you want at 19 is not the same what you want at 30. And that's evolution. When I decided to not pursue medicine, the reason was very different than today. The reason was that I didn't see my parents enough. I'm the only child. They were so busy because unlike today's medical environment, being surgeons demanded a lot. Sometimes 2-3 days, they would not come back home because that's their life. And I'm like, I want freedom. So at 14, my decision not to pursue medicine was the innate need for freedom to have time for myself. But when I was 19 and I started pursuing economics, it was about understanding, and we were talking today about MBA, the whole demand-supply equilibrium, the gap of that because of so many MBAs there, but not enough jobs. I wanted to pursue something which gave me the flexibility to choose a path over time. Economics is a very fluid area, right? It teaches you administration. It teaches you, it teaches you different aspects of managing different, equilibriums of life. It teaches you the basic fundamentals of an economy and much more, right? So it's very fluid. I knew that I could pursue something else. That's when I realized that I could use that knowledge that I've earned to build something where employment is not something I seek. Employment is something I create. Why would I be a job seeker if I could be a job creator? Job creation has more power than job seeking, because I'm going to create an economy which has not been introduced before. And not a lot of women from my background have ever pursued it. So imagine the shift in any thought process has happened when you push the envelope. So thinking that I'll be an entrepreneur at 20 was me pushing the envelope that, I didn't take up medicine. I didn't pursue a typical stream of education like science and arts or law, but I'm doing something completely different using my knowledge of, economics and management to actually create economy at large, right? I'm adding value to the economy. The company within 2 years was employing a lot of people. I got an opportunity to work with engineers. I'm a self-taught coder. So students who are listening today, while there are perils of digital, and social and so on and so forth, it can expose you to a lot of different variables. It also gives you opportunity to constantly learn. How you use that learning is up to you.
I can't agree more.
I learned coding because if I have to build a technology company, I'm talking to my CTO. If I didn't understand the basic nuances of technology, what am I going to teach him? What am I going to talk to him about? Why Kunal went, after engineering and MBA, that you learn certain things which is in theory. Then MBA teaches you management, and then you manage the theory of your technical knowledge with management, and you're able to manage an organization better. That's the whole purpose why it was introduced. Then you move forward and you realize that, hold on, being a founder and CEO are not the same thing. And Vasanthi, today the reason a lot of failures in startups happen is because a visionary and an execution, somebody who has a vision versus execution are not the same thing.
Yeah.
So if you see all the big companies, Steve Jobs needed a Tim Cook to make Apple successful. And he himself was ousted from his company because sometimes as an entrepreneur, you get too attached. I went to study again at Harvard because I wanted to become a better CEO. I needed those skills to become a better CEO. I have a family office that does investing. I have a philanthropic organization where we adopt villages to train women to become self-sustainable. My goals in life have changed. My visions, my need to accomplish things have changed over time. The students who are listening today, all I'm going to tell them is, one, have an open mind. 2, let not learning be validated by being literate with a degree. Let learning be constant. Real education is by reading a lot of books, learning from a lot of people and real life experience. Don't go for an MBA if you at least don't have 2 to 3 years of real experience to understand where your skills lie.
I think that's one very crucial aspect that we are segueing into.
Yeah.
The people who are looking at an MBA right after their first level of graduation, and then there are those who say that, okay, I need to have some work and then by probably I also will get a chance to earn something because a lot of people also have to support themselves. So the practical reason for many Indian students. So one is the, we can just speak a little bit more about that. But I can't, what also resonated with me from a very different point of view about what you need at 14 versus what you need when how you look at life a lot older.
Yeah.
Because I am somebody who's sitting on this panel who tried twice to crack CAT and failed.
Yeah.
I remember if my diary had poetry in it because it was like, oh my, the rudderless boat that I am in the ocean, that kind of an adolescent who suddenly figured that, hey, you know what, guess what? I think I'm not made for that. I mean, this was a writing on the wall. Yeah. And I could not have been happier being a journalist, a storyteller, that I later on went on to be a radio presenter. And then I looked back. And once I was invited by IIM Bangalore, I said, life does come a full cycle. So if you're not making it to what you think is your dream destination, course or job, you actually have a better path.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So when it comes to what Shom was speaking about, Kunal, in your university, as opposed to an MBA who's coming out as a fresh graduate versus somebody who's having a work ex, how do you, is there a differentiation? Is the sort of learnings different for them? How do you handle them differently?
We don't treat them different. So if somebody comes with little bit of work experience, need not be he is having the experience in the field of management only. And that is where they have taken up this course in order to understand it much better. See, today, in terms of management, there is one more new aspect which has flourished all of a sudden, which is called entrepreneurship. And people today are trying to learn more of entrepreneurship through the management way, because they think that it is going to give them a better understanding of the subject. One is that. Second, this entrepreneurship has, forced universities to open up something called as an incubation pad or a startup incubation accelerators. Yeah.
Yes.
So we are trying to look at that as well, because see, if our own student fails in our own home ground with our own investment, with his own idea, we can still shape it up rather than making it public. So we try to, save the errors within the four walls and make it a successful story when it goes outside that. Second, with these students who are coming in, today 30% of the effort or the homework they only do in camp. So they decided about they want to do marketing, digital transformation, logistics, supply chain, finance, and we don't call them with this traditional names also. Today, financial management is called as fintech. Marketing management is called digital marketing. Digital transformation. When I saw the syllabus for the first time, I was thinking, what is there new? I can become a student again. But these are the jargons which are coming from the other side of the wall in order to get them absorbed better. So today, but let me tell you, if you talk about a marketing manager 5 years back and now, those marketing managers were still better than today's ones. They are more demanding. Before taking the project, they will ask 10 questions. Rather than that person would have already finished the project.
Right.
So, this is over the time period. What has happened is the mindset, the analogy, and the parenting has also changed. So we see the parents coming and asking that, will my child be safe? Oh, after a few years, they are going to become parents themselves.
Right.
How would you ask them the question that they're going to be safe? So the parenting has to change.
Safe in this case being?
Safe in the case being job, depression, marks, college life. They are coming with a question asking, do you have celebrities coming to your campus for doing functions and all? So one question I asked the parent, how does it help the child? No, we can say that our child studies in a college where this person comes as a celebrity. So the tagging today is quite different. Today, education is measured by various other wings, which my message to the students would be, don't look at this. This is something which is secondary. You're not paying up an institution for this. Forget about the paying part also. You're not investing your life for this. So the coming 2 years of your life is going to be very crucial, where you're going to take up decisions where you are coming out of your parenting hood from your parents and getting into a hood where you have to become a parent in the future and looking at self-decision making ability. So this is a vacuum for 2 years. Either make it or break it. If you can't do it, then forget it.
Perception, what he was talking about, the optics, and B schools is a status symbol. Now, these being the things that people seem to, especially parents, that as a community. So it's not just students, but we are really hoping that parents who are watching this also have takeaways. So, Shoma, as we wind up this ET Career Talks, let's just focus the last couple of minutes on what would be, therefore, we have spoken about how to vet B schools, what is really the value of an MBA. But then, what is it that can help them to take that big leap? The tools, whether it is with the internal tool set that we have. How do you look at people? Because you started off by speaking about purpose.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what are the few points you want them to take away from this talk?
I'm going to address the parents and the students here. I'm going to say that the parents help shape their pupils. Value system is what stays the longest. Purpose over time can evolve. So if you are doctors and your kids don't want to be a doctor, and if you're lawyers and your kids don't want to be a lawyer and they want to be an influencer, teach them to be good at what they do, than getting a title to validate their merit. You so beautifully said that you didn't crack CAT twice, and it's not, it's not a validation of your skills. You're very strongly right-brained. Right-brained people are very creative. Left is just required for execution. Your mathematical, analytical skills come from there. If your kid is right-brained and you cannot push them to be left-brained and they want to pursue music or they want to pursue something in the creative field, allow them to flourish there. Today, influencers make more money than even you and I. I'm telling you, very honestly, they're making money every second, right? Like Kunal's parents, There is this guy called Gaurav, I'm forgetting his last name, but he is a very, very big public figure. He was ex-captain,
Yeah.
bodybuilder,
Yes, yes, yes.
and now has launched his own private label brand called the Beast Nutrition. 1 crore a day the guy sells online. 1 crore. He's just 5 SKUs. So in today's world, the opportunities are multifold. It is not dictated by degrees. It's not like, in our time, still it was important. If you ask me, the millennials still needed it because our parents had limited resources. Today, the resources are so humongous and elaborate that the opportunities are multifold. People are launching their private label brands. You don't care about where he went and studied. He's smart enough to launch it. People are becoming the biggest YouTubers. People are talking about mental health experts. I would say empathy, accountability, action. And with that comes purpose, right? If you teach your kids to be empathetic and, like he said, not have an attitude, focus, have the right attitude rather, right? Attitude over everything else, kindness over everything else. Because if you're not kind enough, no matter what you do, you're not going to succeed. With that comes accountability. Because if you have empathy, then you know that I will take this on and deliver, whatever that is. And that action. Today, there are so many courses that are available, and why he's going and getting his 9th degree, and I'm studying, things around machine learning and teaching myself Ruby on Rails, learning Python coding, is because that's how the life goes forward. You constantly learn and hone your skills in areas that you feel happy about. I want to address one last thing because you talked about the money, which is important because a lot of times our parents are pushing us to become self-sustainable because they want us to have that freedom of money, independence, etc. Upwork, Fiverr, like that, there are hundreds of platforms that allows you to take up the smallest of jobs, earn anywhere between $15 to $120 per hour. You can do contracts, you can work on agreements, you can do ghostwriting, you can do coding on part-time, you can actually create, flyers, creative content, so many things, part-time. Don't look at a full-time job as the only way of earning.
We are in the gig economy. I'm so glad you brought up this point, and so many options.
Yes.
I think this sort of opens the eyes for many people who are going to be tuning in. Kunal, your last point, in fact, when we are talking about, beyond skill sets, value systems, as an educational institution, right? We've dealt with the input costs. And how do people recover and things like that, also about options. What do you want to leave the students with?
So I'll start with an example, ma'am, for the students to learn something. I mean, I am not great or my family is not that great. I have a 10-year-old daughter. She went to NASA
I see.
this May is in fact, and she's the youngest kid to go to NASA from India till date. I got a Narendra Modi letter also at my home congratulating us as parents. It was a very happy moment for us.
Awesome.
She's just a 10-year-old child, and when she came to me and said, Papa, I have got a chance to go and do a project in NASA. I said, Beta, what's your project all about? What she said just went above my head. I said, how do you know about all this? So I just spoke to her teacher in school. Is it a project or she's really going or something? She said, we are also surprised, sir. She gave up something and she cracked a All India Olympiad where she got gold medal. I was like very happy. I was just, was not able to absorb what is going on. Me and my wife are like, kind of bonkers, what is going on. Then we got a call from embassy as well. We got a call from NASA as well that your kid has to come for a presentation to America. I said, hold on, now it's going above the nerves. See, at that point of time, I would have stopped my child. Would have set a wrong example for myself only, where I come to camera and educate multiple people in this country. And if I don't implement at my level, till the day my daughter did not fly to America, my wife was under a dilemma, should go, should not go, should go, should not go. Because she's a small child. She went alone all the way and she did her project, and her project got world ranking 2. And now NASA is sponsoring her education from next year onwards till the time she wants to become.
Yeah.
So, yes, happy feeling inside. Now, why I brought this example, you talk about any institution. She goes to a school. Now, if I compare a school with an institute would be wrong, but I talk about the education value system. In the school, they taught something which she grasped and she wanted to prove it and she proved it right. And we are still, kind of getting goosebumps about it, whether she's done it right way or not. When your child comes to a level who's about 20 plus years of age, allow him to take that decision, whatever they want to take. As she was talking, very well built in her statements, whatever she has spoken about. We are missing out that part of giving the freedom to the student to take their own decision. मम्मी आज भी, I'll just talk in Hindi, मम्मी आज भी खाना अच्छा है, पापा आज भी 9 बजे वापस आया. So that kind of attitude, makes the student to do something beyond that, and which is negative.
Right.
Education institutes are there to harness you to make a better professional. We own you from 9 to 6, but not from 6 to 9. And usual decision making happens between 6 to 9, not 9 to 6. Today, we can teach you in a class of 50 minutes one topic. How are you absorbing it? It's up to you.
Absolutely.
Nobody taught her to go, and do so good and become, world figure in front of the whole world. And, we are proud to have, I'm proud to, sit next to her as a, world iconic figure, being a woman and proving herself so right. But, this kind of attitude is within the 0.001% of the country which has to come up.
I think we need to elevate our thinking as a society, and as we close this conversation, one incident that I do definitely remember is to give a talk that I was invited to give to a bunch of MBAs, and I remember telling them that India, and because I do extensive travel, I've been in about 18 states of India solo, particularly during elections, saying that there are real life problems. We're talking about huge salaries, and then there are people who are standing in the queue to get their water. Now that really has to give and recalibrate what we what we've set out to do. So no matter whether you get your MBA degree or you don't, whether you decide to really upgrade, upskill, and do what the different gigs, what we are looking at is that what can you do that India needs or the world needs? That problem solving approach, the right attitude. Now those are the things that life's university has to equip us with, and we have to be eager learning students. So with that, we come to a wrap of this ET Career Talks. It's been a pleasure to
Thank you
talk
so
to
much.
both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As well as Kunal. I think we've landed up having a very candid, honest conversation. It is not within the grid of, okay, you have to do your MBA, you have to have this figured out. On the other hand, you're going to have a lot more of questions that we probably could not answer. But I'm sure the ET Careers team is going to have all that directly answered, even up to your email. It's time for me, Vasanthi Hariprakash, to sign off and also thank you both once
Thank you
again.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.